Welcome to the Texas Goat Radio Show. I'm your host, Matorius. This is part 73 of the Milker Nation Beartaria Scam 10-hour documentary.
There's no plumbing or electricity. The quotes that they put in these news stories was not me. That was somebody pretending to be me on like fake accounts of mine. And now we bring.
I wonder what those quotes were, because I wonder if they took them from his actual videos.
Listeners to one of our most beloved and cherished segments on this show, a segment we like to call Fresh Hell, where we introduce the audience to an absurd thing that is happening in the real world that you may not believe is happening, but oh yes, it is indeed happening. Will, on this week's installment, you have something to report to us about the alt-right comedian's Idaho compound. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think this could be the beginnings of a Fresh Hell sub-segment called Compound Watch. FBI, open up! In which we keep you up to date on all the compounds that are making people go, ooh, yikes.
Well, on top of that, we also have the recurring segment theme, and we have not been doing this intentionally, but I gotta say, how many segments have we done on comedians who are not funny?
Yeah, well, Gutfeld.
That comes up all the time, and yet they always end up being these extremist snake handlers.
So in this case, we're dealing with a compound from alt-right comedian Owen Benjamin. And so as Owen Benjamin's career has gotten worse, he, like a lot of people on the far right who have kind of been ostracized, has become obsessed with going back to the land and leaving society. And so he promised his pals about a year ago, his bear following, that he was going to create a sort of utopia for them, a place called Beartaria.
Okay.
And if you sent $400 to Beartaria, you would have like some rights to the land, like you could camp there for a couple weeks. He kind of described it in different ways. And the key thing about Beartaria was Owen Benjamin's wife wouldn't let him hang out with his internet friends at their house, and so he needed Beartaria to hang out with them. And I have to stress, like, there's a lot of fans. I mean, I don't know, thousands of people. He basically raised, I think, north of $100,000. He claimed he was
Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hundreds, if not millions.
going to buy them this $2 million compound. That didn't happen. So he raised like almost $200,000 from these folks.
And locals in the
He raised way more than 200,000.
area are actively worried that this has the potential to become the next Ruby Ridge, but thank goodness that hasn't happened yet.
Right, so he takes this money and he buys this land that he calls, it's on a river, and he calls it Ursa Rio. And this is the beginning of a sort of Ursa empire within Idaho. And initially, the locals who are just...
And I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, or if somebody else has mentioned this, but it was a couple months ago or so, whenever I was looking into James True, Ursa Rio and Ursa Manor, or what, I'm pretty sure those are named after something to do with astrology, if I'm not mistaken.
Owens. This is like a very wooded area. It's served by like one tiny road where the maintenance is just locals adding rocks to it every so often. There's no utility lines. And so these people were all just kind of vibing out in Idaho. And then suddenly they start seeing all these bear type guys building a compound. And the thing is, the reason he gets money from these people, from his fans, is he does these hours long videos. And so he goes like, Beartaria, we're all going to go to Beartaria, and we're going to have a shooting range, and we're going to have classes on how to shoot, and I'm friends with all these paramilitaries, so don't mess with me. And all of his detractors are just like recording, and clipping the most incendiary bit. And so then they send him to the locals in Idaho, and these people go like, what the hell? And so now there's the town council has been urged to take action against Beartaria. And so, I interviewed Benjamin about his plans for Beartaria, and it's getting pretty heated down there, or up there.
So give us one plank of Benjamin's plans in his own words to you for Beartaria, which, by the way you're describing this, that contraption from the movie The Fly? It makes me think that you took Jim Jones, like a Rick and Morty character, and put it through the fly machine, and out came Owen Benjamin and Beartaria. That That's not even good branding. What the fuck is Beartaria?
So he's described Beartaria as a place where families can come and do fishing, and he's claimed that there's no guns have been fired on the property, which people have sent me evidence suggesting otherwise. But I think like the funniest thing to me about the difference between Beartaria as it was imagined and how it's playing out right now is how, so he raised this $400 from everyone, and he said, basically like some of it was like, this land's gonna be set aside for the bears to hang out, all this stuff. And then it became like, wait, maybe I don't want to hang out with these people for the rest of my life. And so instead Owen said, actually Beartaria is like kind of more of an idea, and maybe your own backyard is your Beartaria, and in fact you have no rights to this land that we crowdfunded together. And so things have been getting, even not the locals, but some of these bears are like, wait a minute, like I was planning to live in Beartaria for the rest of my life. And so there was a case where a bear basically, she showed up and was like, hey, okay, I'm ready to live in our colony now. And he kind of sent her on her way. My understanding now
is that a true story? I've never heard that.
Is that some rogue bears are currently en route to Beartaria, where there may be some kind of showdown. The other thing I would like to say about Idaho and Owen Benjamin is, so he's really like a very poor neighbor. This is not like a guy you would want to have in your community, I think, just on his behavior. He has all these stories where he like goes to the post office and some old guy is like, hey, can you put a mask on? And he's like, shut up, cripple, like you old hunchback. And the guy's like, oh, what? And there's this local reporter there, Mike Wheeland, who's been doing...
That's one of the stories. He has two stories, I'm pretty sure, about berating the elderly. The other one, that might have been the same story. I don't know. That was one of the stories that made me lose a whole lot of respect for him. That and the pocket thing. And yeah.
Fabulous work on this stuff. And he wrote a story about the neighbors' concerns, and Owen sent some of his goons out to confront this guy who is in a wheelchair. And Owen's like, this guy's a pedophile, with absolutely no reason to say that. And then he just starts making fun of this guy for being in a wheelchair. And not a guy that I think even very conservative Idahoans are necessarily going to want in their community.
Well, the important thing to realize in all of your reporting on this is that real Beartarianism cannot fail. It can only be failed. And if all of this does go sideways, well, no, it's not real Beartarianism.
The Daily Beast article isn't even worth a response. They did an article?
In Beartaria, I don't know why I've never mentioned this. And I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's based on Tartaria, right? Or no? Like that land that there's a lot of theories about, Tartaria? Beartaria? Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I didn't think they were gonna, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I just think the media's gotten so silly. I mean, we've become friends with a lot of our neighbors already. So the whole thing about like, oh, the neighbor's this. We actually did a, hang on, did I put one in here? Oh, I didn't screenshot it. Yes, they did. How was it? Was it like crazy? I sent it to you on IG. It's hilarious. Makes you sound so cool. That's awesome. Speaking of woodshop bear, we got a woodshop bear knife here. Look at this. This is made by Woodshop Bear.
That's awesome. Spoiler alert, after the fallout, he says that Walmart makes ungrateful. That's dope, dude. That's awesome. That's really cool.
I believe. I'm going to be using that for opening packages today. They claim that 9 concerned. Are you serious that the number was 9? We don't have 9 neighbors. There's only been one concerned neighbor, and she's a Californian Biden supporter. It's kind of fun. I mean, it's like in North Idaho. It's like crazy. But they, I mean, that's kind of cool. Let me read it. I'm kind of curious. Hang on. Let me read this. So you sent it to me on Instagram?
The lady that did the AMA on Reddit, she might have been a neighbor in Washington. I think there was another guy that was a neighbor in Washington. And then the lady was the neighbor in Idaho. I'm not too sure. I haven't read that in a while.
live. Nice. Oh, and if you want to support the stream and our endeavors, neighbors fear bear themed comp.
He had just already stated that money doesn't really get you anything, and it's more like a family and friendly hangout. But he still words it as though if you want to help support us,
will be the next Ruby Ridge. This article makes you sound awesome. Guaranteed you get. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, IG. I don't think that article is written for the literate. Neighbors fear bear-themed compound will be next Ruby Ridge. An alt-right comedian's plans for a remote patch of land in Idaho have terrified his neighbors, who fear it will become a hostile compound or mark the start of a new Ruby Ridge-style standoff. Well, if this article had just called the commissioner, they looked into it and said that the claims were ridiculous. Like, no law enforcement have any problem with us at all. Comedian Owen Benjamin once had a moderately successful Hollywood career, landing roles in movies and TV shows, and briefly becoming engaged to actress Christina Ricci. Benjamin broadcast to his fans grew more erratic, seeing the one-time comedian embrace the...
Why did he say her last name like that? Is that how you're supposed to pronounce it? Ricci?
Flat Earth theory, and recommend drinking turpentine as a medical cure. But being on the internet fringes can be lonely, so Benjamin decided... This does make me sound hilarious. Decided to build a place where his remaining bear-themed following, who call themselves Unbearables, could meet in person. Being on the fringes of the internet is lonely. That's hilarious. Exactly what Benjamin's intentions for the property in Sandpoint, Idaho are Ursa Rio, blah, blah, blah. I just want to see if they used any of my quotes. Neighbors are getting nervous, urging local officials to step in and issue a cease and desist order blocking construction. You are the only people who can prevent this reenactment of Ruby Ridge. This is so unethical, Daily Beast. The controversy over Benjamin's... There is no controversy. It's... Guys, you want to see the writer for... They just reference...
There is no controversy, yet we are just over 9 hours into this documentation of the investment fraud from Owen Benjamin, allegedly. I mean, he took investors.
Kootenai Valley Times. All right, watch this. You want to see a video of the sole writer, producer, and owner of Kootenai Valley Times? You guys want to see this? Let's take a look at the...
Is he going to show... Is he going to, or did he show somebody's picture and then just made fun of how they looked? Is that what...
Sole owner, writer, the only guy that does the Kootenai Valley Times. It's one dude. They've started this whole network where they can create these illusions. Guys, we had neighbors come over for like meat the other day. And we have no permanent residents there. And it's like, this is all preposterous. All right, so check this out. This is the Kootenai. I feel like I'm starting to get this feeling that the Daily Beast might be a little biased. Check this out.
We are with Owen Benjamin. Okay.
He presents this as though he is proud of this behavior. And I want it to be on record that this type of behavior, where he sent people to this person's physical address, pretty much doxed him, is absolutely disgusting.
And it has to do with...
And the people that allowed themselves to be manipulated in such a way or go along with it, equally disgusting.
Yeah, the recent article. Okay. We're just wondering, like, where you got your sources from. Like, what do you know about Owen Benjamin?
Well, there are many. Late May Tuesday, the commissioners, and I got the documentation from people making the complaint, and that's where the article came from.
Okay. So did you do any kind of research on him before printing? No.
It's honestly probably a really good thing that he didn't do any research on him, because I bet that article would have been way more enlightening than what it was, and not in a good way.
Reporting things that are not exactly true about somebody, like saying, like confirming something about, white nationalism and like.
I had to confirm everything I wrote. I never get anything written.
Hilarious. So that's the media. Well, I'll give the Daily Beast this. They did kind of say my side. Even though there is no sides, they created a false binary. But I do not have a paramilitary squad. I was making a joke as a comedian, unless you consider my goats and...
This is one of the most pathetic, disgusting aspects of this whole thing. I was making a joke as a comedian. That's what I was doing. I was making a joke as a... That's a mask that he hides behind. And it's so... It's pathetic, man. It's absolutely pathetic. I was making a joke as a comedian. F you and the Lord, because y'all ain't giving me money. Oh, the Christian jokes. Hold my pocket. You throw money on the ground. When they go for it, stomp on their hand. I verbally assaulted a man, and it made me high. All of those are the glorious material, comedy chops of Owen Benjamin Smith.
Chickens and military. Nice. Thanks. Thank you. By his own accounts, Benjamin does not come off as an ideal neighbor. I don't think these people have ever been to Idaho. Anytime you guys want to come up to Idaho, let me know. Savage told the Daily Beast that he's seen an uptick in business as conservative urbanites try to move to rural areas. This is going to be good for everyone's business. But Savage won't work with just any buyer. His website warns that snowflakes and Marxists need not apply. Nice, Todd. We only have work with people who are libertarian right, end of story, Savage told the Daily Beast, because we want people who will have the same belief system around us, and that's okay. Yes. That's what I mean, the one neighbor who's having a problem, she'd never sell me land because of ideological differences, but they don't write anything about that because they're in the same ideological world. The Bears don't have we're not an ideological community. And also, one thing I will give...
The Bears are not an ideological community. A couple of ideological... what's that word? Ideologies? Is that Owen is the untouchable sacrificial lamb. Not sacrificial lamb. The one thing that cannot be touched because of the high community, the high trust community. Anyways, this is the Texas Go radio show. I am your host, Matorius. As always, till next time.